Hello YouTube and welcome back to another video from me, your host, Logan Albright. As I said in the last video, I had a few ideas for things that were not book related, and so I wanted to do those as little extra bonus videos, and we will return to our regularly scheduled book programming next week. But I just wanted to put out some other things. And one of the ideas I had, I was looking at my, as some of you will know from my haul videos, I have a collection of the Criterion collection Blu-rays and DVDs, and I was looking through those, and I thought I would do a list of the top 10 most visually beautiful films that I own in this collection. This is not having to do with the quality of the movies themselves, although I do think all of these are excellent movies, but it's more to do with just how much I enjoy looking at the screen when these movies are on. You can even turn off the sound and just look at how beautiful they are. And so I thought that'd be a fun little list to do, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So let's go through, starting with number 10. Number 10 is Beauty and the Beast, La Belle et la Bête from Jean Cocteau. This film was released in year 1946. It's in French. It's a retelling of the classic fairy tale. And it's in black and white, of course, but it's got great cinematography, great costumes, great set design, great production design. There's just very fairy tale elements in here that are just beautiful. The beast costume is magnificent. The castle is magnificent. The way the kind of candles come to life and illuminate the scenes. It really does kind of put you in that fairy tale world. And I think for a black and white movie, it captures something special that you don't see in a lot of other films. So that's number 10 on my list. Number 9 is The Color of Pomegranates. This was released in 1969. It's a Soviet film, and it's a very experimental film based on the life of Armenian troubadour, what's his name? Sayat Nova. And it doesn't really have a plot so much as it has a series of tableaus about his life. And it's just shot in a very visually beautiful style. There's lots of bright colors. There's lots of imaginatively designed scenery, interesting camera angles. It's just a visually great film. I don't have too much more to say about it because it's not really plot driven or anything, but it looks really nice. And for experimental cinema, that's one of the things that's the most important. Next up, I have Black Narcissus, which is the Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger movie about nuns who go to start a colony in India, I believe. And it's 1947. It's in color, and I love the way this film looks because, first of all, there's like incredible matte paintings. Like this was all shot in studios in London, and they created the background of where they're going in this exotic locale, all with matte paintings and set designs and stuff, and it looks beautiful. I'm a big fan of matte paintings in films. And then the cinematography by Jack Cardiff, who's a famed cinematographer, is incredible in this. There's like scenes, especially towards the end of this, there's really moody lighting, really dark lighting, and they're almost like horror movie lighting, although it's not a horror movie. And it's just, the contrast, the chiaroscuro between the brightness of the scenery and then these kind of dark, moody scenes towards the end is really, really gorgeous. It's a great film, one of my favorites, and I think it's just beautiful to look at. Next up, I have Red Desert. This is the first color film by Italian director Michelangelo Antonioni. This is from 1964. It's basically about a woman who is sort of dealing with her alienation in this new town. It's a very industrial city. And one of the things that's going to be a common theme in a lot of these that I talk about is the director's ability to make ugly things look beautiful. And what I love about this film is it's all set in like these gray, dreary, smoky factory settings. There's just pollution and landscape and stuff. It looks very miserable, but he somehow manages to conjure his beauty out of it, and it's especially because of the contrast of the main character's very colorful clothing and her beautiful red hair. That kind of contrast just creates a whole series of startling images that are beautiful to look at. So I think Red Desert is really fun to watch. Just the colors and the cinematography is great in it. Next up, we have another black and white film, The Night of the Hunter. This is directed by Charles Laughton, the only film he ever directed. It's from 1955, starring Robert Mitchum. One of my favorite films, again. It's a great kind of sinister story about an evil preacher who's going after these kids, and it really does have that kind of childish worldview in it, in the sense, or not worldview, but childish point of view in it, where everything seems larger than life. It's like you're seeing the whole movie through the kid's eyes, and everything seems big and scary. And it's in black and white again, but like his use of shadow and his use of kind of looming images is really beautiful in it. I wish Charles Laughton had directed more films because this is a really great movie, and I think the use of lighting in it is incredible. All right, next up, this is a box set of the Katsi trilogy by Godfrey Reggio. I'm really referring to the first film, Katsi, which is one of my favorite films as well. This is, I learned about this film because I was a fan of the music of Philip Glass, and he scored the entire thing. And it's just music. There's no dialogue. There's no other sound, really. It's just music, and it's a series of images. Katsi is a Hopi word meaning life out of balance, and it kind of contrasts nature and desert scenery with cities and motion. And it's all cinematography and music, and it's beautiful. There's a lot of time-lapse photography in it. There's a lot of sped up things over time. You get to see people rushing around in traffic. You get to see the space shuttle going up. You get to see all kinds of different things that are just interesting to look at, either in slow motion or in fast motion. Like wind blowing across the desert, and it's just beautifully photographed. I love that film. And then another little box set, the Coker trilogy by Abbas Kiarostami, the Persian director, particularly the first film in this, which is called Where is the Friend's House? Again, Kiarostami is a director who I think is remarkable in his ability to find beauty in otherwise ugly settings. And these are all shot in Iran, and I don't think Iran is a very beautiful country. It's very kind of brown and arid, and I don't find it to be a beautiful place. If you were asking me like what countries are beautiful, I wouldn't pick that one. But he somehow manages to like make these shots just look gorgeous, and all particularly the first film, not so much the second film. But Where is the Friend's House? He just gets these great shots of landscape and hillside and these little hovels where people are living, and the city at night, these villages. And it all, like, it should look ugly, but somehow it doesn't, because he's such a master with the camera that he manages to make it look beautiful. And I love looking at that film. I think it's great. Next on the list, I have Mulholland Drive, which is my second favorite movie of all time, by David Lynch, released in 2001. I love this film so much. It's so great. And I wouldn't say David Lynch is not everything he does is visually stunning. It's more about his ideas and stuff. But he does have a really good eye for like interesting scenes, and he will usually get a couple of really interesting scenes in all of his films, and really beautiful scenes. And I remember seeing this kind of right around when it came out, and then I forgot about it for years. But there were two scenes from here that I just stuck in my head, and I always remembered them, and I couldn't remember what movie they were from for years until I saw it again, and I was like, that's where that's from. And one of the scenes is where a movie director, he catches his wife cheating on him, and he goes out to the garage and gets a pail of pink paint and dumps it on her jewelry, and her jewelry is just covered in pink paint. And that image of the pink paint pouring over the jewelry was something that stuck in my brain forever. It's such a powerful image. And then the other scene, there's a scene where they're in a meeting with like movie executives, and this big kind of mafia boss guy is there calling the shots, and he's very quiet and still, and they bring him espresso because he loves espresso, but he's very picky about his espresso. And very slowly and deliberately, he drinks the espresso, and he gets a napkin, and he puts the napkin up to his chin, and he spits the espresso out on the napkin, and everybody goes insane because they're upset that he was not pleased with the espresso. I remembered that scene forever, and I could never remember what movie it was from, and it's from here. There's another scene in here also where Naomi Watts is visiting this movie director's set, and she's really far away, and he turns around in his chair and he sees her, and the camera does this fast zoom up to her face, and it's one of the most beautiful close-up zooms I've ever seen. Like, it's just, she looks radiant in that, and it's just captures Naomi Watts' beauty in a way I've never seen anyone else do with any other shot before. Just that one zoom in, one of my favorite shots in all of cinema. So I had to put Mulholland Drive high up on this list, although I wouldn't say the entire movie is gorgeous, but parts of it are, and parts of it are really memorable. Next up, I have, as my number 2 pick, Andrei Tarkovsky's Mirror. And Tarkovsky is another one of those directors who just every shot he finds is just beautiful. I don't know how he does it. Again, Russia is not the most lovely of all countries, but he gets these landscape shots of Russia that are just beautiful. And he gets shots of people just sitting in chairs that are gorgeous. And he gets shots of people drinking tea that are just gorgeous. And like every shot he gets in this movie is beautiful. I could have picked a couple of his movies, honestly, like Stalker is a beautiful film. Andrei Rublev is another beautiful film of his. But I think this is the most beautiful. And there's a great scene in here where it's a cabin burning down on this green Russian backdrop. And you get the red orange of the flames contrasted with the green of the grass. And it's just gorgeous. The whole thing is so, so beautiful. I just watched it again recently and was thinking about it when I was watching it. Just like, You don't have to read the subtitles or listen to the sound or listen to the music. You just like look at the images that he's captured. And I think that Tarkovsky's one of the greatest directors ever for being able to do that and being able to do it consistently, because it's sort of true in all his films. And then the last film that I have here, I would consider it, for my money, the best looking film ever made. It's Barry Lyndon by Stanley Kubrick, released in 1975. Not Kubrick's most celebrated movie. Most people like his other stuff better, but I think it is my favorite movie of all time is The Shining, and it's never going to be replaced. But if it wasn't for The Shining, this would be my favorite movie, because it is so beautiful and it's such a great story. Well, the story is amazing anyway, because it tells of this rise and fall of this sort of poor Irishman who ends up ascending to the heights through cleverness and craft. He ascends to the heights of nobility and then loses everything. And it's a tragic story, and it's an inspiring story, and it's an interesting story, and it's funny in a lot of ways. But the really remarkable thing about this movie is how it looks, because Kubrick got his hands on some NASA lenses that nobody knew what they had. Nobody knew how good these lenses were. But Kubrick started his career as a cameraman rather than a director, and he knew about lenses. And so he got these like amazing lenses, and he filmed the whole thing in natural light, candlelight. He did stuff that you weren't able to do with the technology at the time, filming all these indoor scenes with just candles. And it's just like every frame, you know, this is a cliche to say, but every frame could be a painting. You could print out any frame from this movie and hang it on your wall, and it would be a beautiful work of art. Just like, I don't know how he did it. It's got this really flat, painterly quality to all the scenes. There's not a lot of depth, but they all look like oil paintings from the time period, and he was doing that intentionally. Just an incredibly beautiful film, and I think it deserves more attention. I think Barry Lyndon's one of the best movies ever made of all time, and I would rank it up there with any of Kubrick's best or any director's best, but particularly the way it looks. So that's my list of top 10 Criterion films that I own that I think are the visually most beautiful. They're not my top 10 favorite Criterion films, although there are some overlaps. But that's just the criteria I was using to decide whether to include them. It's just how beautiful they look. I'd like to know your thoughts. There's a lot of films in the collection I don't own, obviously, so there's probably a lot more beautiful ones that I'm missing. Give me your thoughts on your top 10s in the comments. If you like the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, and come back every week for more videos. I will be returning to my regularly scheduled book review programming soon, but as I said, I had a couple of other ideas I wanted to get off my chest, and why not just put them out there and see if people like them. I've been your host, Logan Albright. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.